Good morning, everyone. I toast to you. I hope you're having a fantastic Wednesday morning, whenever you're watching this. I hope all is well. I love coffee. I have to go to the store today because I'm out of coffee, which means I have to leave the house. Anyways, let's talk about children. Let's talk about children and magic. Let's talk about sharing our faith with our children and children in the community. And I could probably go on all day, so we don't want to do that. I'm going to try to keep this kind of focused. Let's see if my rantings can stay focused. So, I get to question a lot when I talk to people about sharing my faith with my children. I have 3 kids, and for me, it's hard to understand why this is such a line drawn in the sand, I guess. There are so many pagan parents out there who really have the belief that they should not share their faith with their children and that their children should come to spirituality in their own terms. And I mean, that's great, I guess. But the thing is that spirituality is a part of our state of homeostasis. If you look at it from a holistic approach, like an allopathic or a whatever, if you look at it from a holistic approach, you have your mental state, your physical state, your environmental state, your social state, and your spiritual state. And these are the 5 aspects that make you into a whole person. And when we're raising children and we're teaching children and we teach them about emotional well-being and how to express their feelings and sharing their thoughts. We teach them how to interact with other people through social environments. We teach them how to interact with their environment around them by just being around, nature or their house or whatever it may be. We teach them about their body through eating and potty training and sleeping and all of these things. Then when it comes to spirituality, there's this big question mark. And do we teach them this? Do we not teach them this? So some of the reasons that I see parents not teach their children or share their faith with their children, specifically pagan parents, not share their faith, is for many of the people in the pagan community, they grew up in a home that was some kind of strict monotheistic religion where they were made to go to church or temple or whatever and do the thing and say the prayers and kneel and stand and sit and do all of the things, and they didn't feel that. And there's so much shame and guilt, and I think when children begin to feel that shame and guilt, if they don't automatically attach to the light and the love and the good parts of the church, then that's what they feel is that shame and guilt. And then you're forced into it and you're made to go to church and it has to be like this and you're not allowed to question and all of those things that children want to do naturally. If you don't accept the answers that they give you, then you're shunned and you're shamed and there's all of these issues. And if you're different and all of those things that kind of come along, and parents don't want to put that shame on their own children. And I just like to remind parents that you're not Christian, and one, you're not putting those values of shaming people into doing something in a way that's not present in the pagan faith. I am a firm believer we should shame all the people who are racist, but really that's about it. Like, if you want to call to the 3-headed dog and have lots of partners and never settle down and whatever, that's you. That's what you do. You can't make somebody do whatever. So in that sense, you can't make somebody do something in your spirituality. When parents are making their children do something and then their children have this feeling of hurt when it comes to their spirituality, they don't want to teach their children. They don't want to share and spread that hurt to the next generation. And sometimes I just want to give those people a hug and be like, you know what? You don't have to share that with your children. You can share the love that you have for your own faith with your children, and not in a way that's, I'm going to make you do this. You got to go to church and do it like this. But in a way that is productive and helpful and and helps them enjoy the world around them. I mean, one of the things that I love about my pagan faith and sharing my pagan faith with my children is the love for nature and the curiosity that it just instills in you to go out and look and watch that butterfly come out of the cocoon and watch the spider build its web and see the plants grow and be one with that energy and feel the air on your skin. And it's just this beautiful thing. And I love sharing that with my children. I love spending the holidays with them and talking about the transitions of the earth and the cycles of the earth and all of those things because I'm sharing my love. And I'm not forcing them to participate. They want to participate. That's the thing that I think a lot of parents forget, is that you crave spirituality. Just like you as a grown-up crave that spiritualness, your children crave that spirituality. And they are looking for that. I remember having a conversation with my son when he was about 2 years old, almost 3. He was talking pretty well. He says, "Mom, is God in the road?" I'm like, "There are gods in the road." And he said, "Mom, are there gods in the grass?" And I said, "Yeah, there are gods in the grass." He says, "Mom, are there gods in the tree?" And we did this for the entire hour drive into town. And everything he saw out the window, "Mom, is there gods in that? Mom, is there a God in that? Mom, is there a God in that?" And it was just this beautiful conversation talking about the spiritual energy with the 2-year-old who was just fascinated with the idea that there's this energy that he can't see in everything. And I think that when you begin to present those ideas to your children, 1, it helps them understand abstract thought better. 2, it'll help them do visualization and meditation and all of that stuff. All of my children, well, my youngest one, she's 3, so we don't know yet. My older 2 children are spiritual. My 8-year-old loves being a pagan. She loves going to pagan festivals with me. She loves hanging out with other pagans. She has so much fun hanging out with other kids who are pagan and just being able to be that free spirit, and she really enjoys that community. My son is very spiritual. He's just naturally very spiritual. He likes doing the meditations with me. He likes doing stuff like that. I do the Wim Hof breathing meditations from time to time, and he'll do that with me. And he's so proud of himself. He's like, "Mom, I held my breath for the whole minute." And it's so exciting. He's 5, and he just likes doing these things because, your children see the joy that you have in it. And then that's what they want to put forward. I think that when you start comparing the pagan faith to the Christian faith and how that's going to, whatever, you see grown adults who go to church every Sunday who feel so shamed and so ashamed of who they are and what they do, but they feel like this is what they have to do because this is the way that it is, and you just get up and you do it and you keep going. And so that's the faith that they're sharing with their children, that forced faith. And that's not a beautiful thing. When I go out, like this Sunday when we make our wickermen and we're doing our deal and we're burning them and all of that fantastic stuff, it is a beautiful experience. We are all enjoying it. When we make corn dollies I think that's one of my kids' favorite things. So we'll make the corn dollies on the equinox, the fall equinox, and we will take the old corn dollies out and we'll burn them in the garden with the vegetables, like the leaves and the stuff, like to fertilize or whatnot. And we talk about the transitions and that old things become new things, and that when we put those things together and that transition and that cycle and this energy from the blessing of last year will now be recycled into the garden, and it'll help our garden grow for next year. And we'll use our produce to make new corn dollies to bless our home for this year. And it's just this beautiful cycle, and it's a beautiful moment, and they love it. My son loves watching the corn dollies burn and making sure, he's like, "Oh, Mom, that piece blew. We got to push it back in. We got to make sure all of the pieces get burned." We do the same thing for the fairy gingerbread houses that we make. Timer. We do the same thing for those. And my kids love that. They're like, "Mom, look at the candy melting." And this is always fun because we do that in late January, early February for midsummer or midwinter, and waking the earth up with that energy. So we put the earth to sleep with this energy to grow and transform, and then we wake it up with that, and it's just this beautiful cycle that the kids get to be a part of, and they enjoy it. And so I think that the thought that you are that you're gonna put that same guilt, let's call it religious shaming guilt, whatever, if you're gonna put that on your kids with your pagan faith, I'm sorry, you're probably not practicing your pagan faith right. That's not it. We are not into shaming. We are not into guilt. We are not into using these negative emotions in order to motivate you to be a better person. What makes you a better person is you actually being a better person. If you honor yourself and you honor your earth and you honor the world around you, you inevitably become a better person. Because when you honor yourself, you don't honor yourself to hurt somebody else. You honor yourself to honor yourself. You honor the good things. You look at all of that great stuff. And that's what the pagan faith is focused on, is that honor, is bringing you up, is making you one with the world around you, is finding that balance and that homeostasis in those aspects of who you are and the world around you and your practice and your work and all the different hats that you wear. It's about finding that balance, finding the center of your chaos and being able to stand there and be like, I hold this chaos up. Someday we'll talk more about chaos magic. It's amazing. And I think that it does worlds of good for people's practice. And so if you're stuck in the light and fluffy magic, or you're stuck in the dark magic, or wherever, you need to reach out and grab some chaos. You need to reach out and grab some roots. You need to reach out and pull some other things and just kind of look around. But that's a different video. We're talking about kids. So I think the other reason that parents don't share their faith with their children is because of that fear. A lot of us grown-ups are in the broom closet and we don't go out into the community and talk about it. So when it comes to sending your kids to school, and you never want your kids to be judged or to be discriminated against or to have somebody be mean to them, especially because of a faith that you gave them. And so with my children, we have all had the conversation about how not everyone is pagan and that everybody has their own faith and that some faiths aren't as tolerant as other. And there are some people who are scared of pagans and, fearful of the way that we practice and the fact that we don't honor Jesus and God or Muhammad or, whoever all of those prophets and, books. We don't follow those books. They're great books to learn from. My daughter, my 8-year-old, loves history. She really shares my love for history. And the two of us all day could watch documentaries on, I've watched all of the Finding Jesus and Finding Buried Truth of the Bibles and all of those buried secrets. And, it's amazing. And so historically, she probably knows more about Jesus and the birth of Christianity and all of that stuff than like most grown-ups do. I don't think a lot of it is completely sunk in, but that information is there. She's got a new fascination with World War II. And then also we started reading The Diary of a Slave Girl, which is one of the American Doll books, which has been interesting for her just to learn about history and all of that stuff. But aside from that, so your children are drawn into something and they want something. And when you give it to them, you don't want them to go to school and be shamed and be, you can't be my friend because you're a pagan. So we did have that conversation about how, this is something that we just don't bring up with everybody. If you have a close friend and you feel like this is something that you guys should talk about, then, by all means, I don't want you to feel like you can't talk about it, but just be mindful. I have lost friends as a grown-up because they found out I was a pagan, and which is funny to me because my husband, bless his soul, loves that his wife is a witch and a pagan. And when we first got together, he would introduce me. Hi, this is Tara. She's my wife. She's a pagan. I was like, okay. So I went from moderately being open about who my faith or what my faith is. I've never hid it, and if somebody asked, I would be honest about it, but I'm not like, bang, 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 pagan, right here. My tattoo is conspicuous. I feel it's not on my face. So, but so with my children, I was like, this is just one of those things that we keep closer to ourselves, and we don't need to talk about faith at school. That's just not something we talk about at school, and so it was funny. Her first Samhain, or last harvest, or Halloween, whatever you call it, in kindergarten, first grade actually. In first grade, we sit down and they have all of the Halloween decorations out and everybody's giving out candy and it's so much fun and there's an empty desk and I'm like, oh, is this kid coming back? And my daughter very cavalierly says, oh no, his mom and dad believe that this is the devil's birthday, so he can't come to school today. And we just were like, okay. And I said, son, look, there's a seat for you. You can have this kid's candy. And this was at her table. So somebody sitting at her table has these very devout parents who restrict their fun time, I feel like. Like, come on, really? This has nothing to do with the devil. So, anyways. But my daughter did not feel the need to stand up on the chair and be like, oh, it's not the devil's birthday. This is about the God dying and the cycle of life and new things happening and blah, blah, blah. She didn't do that. I mean, my son, he's just such an honest soul. I think that we're going to have more of those honest moments with him. And my little Lulu is going to be the little blonde girl starting the circle mosh pit. I'm not going to lie. I don't know where she's going from there, but I'm pretty sure she's going to be a tattoo artist in the mosh pit throwing elbows. Like, her favorite band is Trivium. When she was a baby and she cried all the time, we would listen to Butcher Babies and she would stop. Not joking. Like the creepy songs by Butcher Babies where they're like doing that Halloween song, she loved that. But so we'll see as the children progress on who is going to bring the most attention to their faith. But in general, the other kids find it fun. I mean, my daughter, the friends that she was honest about, they started a little witch brewing thing in first grade and they would make potions during recess. I was like, that's awesome. But our friends were into it, and they're, they go to church. They're Catholic. We live in a predominantly Latino, Latinx, whatever you call it, Latino neighborhood. In fact, we are the minority. I'm the only white person. I think my new neighbors I got down the block are white. But, and I love it. I love my neighbors. My kids have fantastic friends. We don't run into problems with it like I was fearful of. And I imagine if we lived somewhere that was more Bible belty, that might be different. And so each parent's going to have that conversation with their children in a way that's appropriate. And, to be quite honest, the way it started in our house is my pentagram. I have one tattooed on me, but I'm a modest person when I go out into public, so I typically will have more than a tank top on. But I don't wear my pentagram openly. And one day we had gone to a pagan festival, and so I had all my pagan stuff on. And when we went to the grocery store on the way home, I tucked my jewelry away. And my daughter was like, Mom, I love your pinnacle. Why did you hide it? And I was like, well, it makes people uncomfortable. We do live in a conservative city. Greeley is very conservative, Republican, pro-life all the way here. It's very frustrating some days, but they are conservative. And so when I go into the bank or the grocery store or somewhere where I want to do professional business and I don't want to be judged and whatever by these people, I will put that stuff away because I don't need that to be the first impression they have of me. And that's what I told my daughter. I said, because there are people who are scared of our faith, there are people who have been told lies or whatever they believe that's not true. It makes them scared. And then that makes them scared of me. And I don't want their first impression to be fear. I would much rather their first impression to be like, oh, wow, look at this articulate lady with her kids that's doing stuff and whatever. And then later on, that can come out and then it be a thing. Like, so that's not the first thing that they judge on me. So I tried to teach... Oh, come here real quick. I try to teach the children that. So... just because we're talking about kids and here they can come wave goodbye before we leave. Here's my oldest. She's my baby. Say bye. Thank you for joining us. Don't forget to come here, my sassafras. See, my loud one. I told you she's gonna be throwing elbows in the mosh pit, huh, Lulu? So, come here, you two. He's being shy. See, there are 3 of them. So, share your faith. Be honest with your kids. Show them the love that you have for your faith. And I hope everybody has a fantastic day. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll talk to you soon.